Straight ahead on NewsWatch, our pre-inauguration special. We are just one day away from having a new leader in America. From inauguration preps to heated hearings, we'll show you exactly what's going on. Plus, reversing the Obama impact, what President Trump can and can't do to overturn executive orders of his predecessor. And we'll have a look at the key players in the incoming administration, from Betsy DeVos in education to Mike Pompeo at the CIA, what they're hoping to do to make America great again. And thank you for joining us for this pre-inauguration special edition of CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. We are just a day away from Donald Trump becoming the next president of the United States. While inauguration preparations continue on the National Mall and around D.C., more of the president-elect's cabinet nominees had to face some tough questions before Congress. Mark Martin has the story.
President-elect Donald Trump tapped Congressman Tom Price of Georgia to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. Senators grilled Price on his plans for health care after Congress repeals Obamacare.
There's been a lot of talk about individuals losing health coverage. That is not our goal, nor is it our desire, nor is it our plan.
Price also said his plan is not to go to a Republican health care system, but to an American health care system that acknowledges everyone's needs. Trump's pick to be the ambassador to the United Nations, South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley also fielded questions from lawmakers. Haley supports moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And she took on the United Nations for its actions against the Jewish state.
Nowhere has the UN's failure been more consistent and more outrageous than its bias against our close ally, Israel.
Trump's nominee to lead the EPA, Scott Pruitt, also went before senators on Capitol Hill. He said he did not believe that climate change is a hoax, but also said the issue is open to debate.
Science tells us that the climate is changing, and then human activity in some manner impacts that change. The ability to measure with precision the degree and extent of that impact and what to do about it are subject to continuing debate and dialogue, and well, it should be.
Meanwhile, the Washington Examiner reports that Trump's transition team says the president-elect is expected to hand down 4 to 5 executive orders Friday as soon as he takes office. Trump in the past has said he wants to overturn all of President Obama's executive orders involving immigration, as well as undo some climate regulations. Mark Martin, CBN News.
President Obama says he doesn't think the expansion of LGBT rights will reverse in the United States. And in his final presidential news conference, he said society's attitudes have changed on same-sex marriage and LGBT troops in the military. President Obama hopes for more rights for transgender people, but he added that, quote, he could not be prouder of the nation's transformation on the issues during his presidency. Federal authorities are investigating threats to Jewish centers nationwide. The FBI said Wednesday it is working with the Justice Department to investigate possible civil rights violations in connections with the threats. The Anti-Defamation League points out there have been bomb threats to Jewish centers in at least 17 states. The organization is telling Jewish centers to take precautions. More than 2/3 of the current members of the House of Representatives have never served under a Republican president. And House conservatives are more than ready for a commander-in-chief who will turn their bills into law. Abigail Robertson has the latest now from Capitol Hill.
The 115th Congress is officially in session, while one side picks up the pieces from a brutal defeat.
I believe that Democrats must take a hard look at what we can do better.
Republicans have hit the ground running, preparing to take full advantage of their 3-branch lead. Top of the conservative priority list is repealing Obamacare. Budget resolutions that dismantle the act have already passed both the House and Senate, but not all Republicans supported them. Senator Rand Paul, one of the few who voted against party lines, says he's in favor of repealing the law as soon as possible, but not if it adds $9 trillion to the debt.
My point to them was, why don't we introduce a budget that actually balances? My hope is to, at the same time we repeal Obamacare, which I will vote for, is also to have a separate vote on replacing Obamacare.
Another pressing matter, boosting the military.
We need to rebuild our military. It's in very bad shape. It's been cut by 21%, while other adversaries have increased their capabilities to the point where they're closing the gap between ourselves and them.
Both parties in the House and Senate show discontent with the United Nations' latest resolution against Israel.
We need to stand behind our friends in Israel who practice democracy, not terrorism.
As a response, Senator Lindsey Graham, who oversees foreign operation finances, proposed a bill alongside Senator Ted Cruz to cut funding to the UN. U.S. taxpayers cover more than a fifth of that annual budget.
I went up 2 months ago and I told the new incoming UN Secretary, if in the last days of the Obama administration, you pass a resolution condemning Israel for their settlement policies, picking that out of all the issues in the Mideast, then you're going to run afoul of Senator Graham.
Senator Graham can be a harsh critic of the president-elect, but is supportive of Trump's promises for conservative reform.
President-elect Trump says he wants to rebuild the military. Count me in. He wants to reform the tax code. Count me in. He's going to look for pro-life judges to put on the Supreme Court. Count me in.
Soon, Americans will get the chance to see if change is truly on the political agenda. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
President Obama has used his presidential pen to leave a big mark on America. Some say hundreds of regulations and restrictions now need to be overturned. But just how much of the president's impact can actually be reversed? Jennifer Wishon takes a closer look.
President Barack Obama didn't let a poor relationship with Congress stop him from almost single-handedly pushing his agenda forward.
I've got a pen and I've got a phone. A pen to take executive action, and a phone to rally citizens.
He used that pen to sign 266 executive orders and more presidential memoranda than any modern president during his 8 years in the White House. That allowed him to bypass Congress, but a president's actions taken by the pen can die just as quickly.
With just a signature, they're all gone.
What President Trump will not be able to easily erase are the regulations that Obama has been issuing at an accelerated pace.
In his final year in office, it looks like he will issue 100 regulations that will have annual impacts of $100 million or more.
That's $100 million or more per regulation per year. Not all of those will have crossed the finish line by the time Obama leaves, so Trump will likely direct agencies to stop those in their tracks. A number of regulations are also tied up in court, which will be handled by a new Attorney General and Justice Department. But for the rest,
the only option for the president is to go through the same process, the notice and comment rulemaking process, to undo a regulation the last president had to go through to put them in effect in the first place.
That could take at least a year, and those undone regulations will probably also wind up in court.
This is going to be a battle royale over the next year. There's no question there are very well-funded liberal special interest groups, from Planned Parenthood to the Sierra Club, and they will fight back on this, no question.
A friendly Congress can also help. There's a little-known act that allows the legislature to overturn regulations issued during a president's last few months with a simple majority vote. Look for the Republican-led Congress to exercise this right. In addition to all of this, Trump has a plan to further eliminate regulations crafted by bureaucrats.
I will formulate a rule which says that for every one new regulation, 2 old regulations must be eliminated. So important.
It's a tall task that experts call a worthwhile exercise.
Agencies have a tendency to always be looking to the next regulation and the next new policy control over private sector activities, but they rarely look back to see whether existing regulations are working as intended.
The Trump regulatory battle coming soon to headlines or a Twitter feed near you. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
President-elect Donald Trump plans to nominate former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue as Secretary of Agriculture. It was the last vacant cabinet post in the Trump administration, and the news comes just one day before he takes office. The 70-year-old Perdue would be the first Southerner to lead the Agriculture Department in more than 2 decades. Perdue comes from rural central Georgia, where he built businesses and in grain, as well as trucking. Donald Trump selected Kansas Congressman Mike Pompeo to head up the CIA. Some experts believe that he may be the perfect pick to help smooth over Trump's rocky relations with the U.S. intelligence community. From constant leaks to worries about Russia, Our Gary Lane takes a look at the reforms Pompeo will need to target.
Would you comply?
If confirmed as CIA director, one of Mike Pompeo's first tasks would be calming the storm over Russian hacking of the 2016 presidential campaign.
This is very real. It is growing. It is not new in that sense, but this was an aggressive action taken by the senior leadership inside of Russia, and America has an obligation, and the CIA has a part of that obligation to protect that information.
Friends and supporters say Pompeo will bring intelligence to the Central Intelligence Agency. He graduated first in his class at West Point, then attended Harvard Law School after his stint in the Army. A successful businessman, Pompeo has served in the House of Representatives since 2011. So how does Pompeo make the CIA more effective? Former CIA analyst Fred Flight says he needs to plug the leaks.
These people at the CIA, at the National Security Council, who are constantly calling the New York Times to leak sensitive information for political purposes, they have to go. We have to have objective, non-political analysis, and there has to be a house cleaning to get that done.
Flight says bureaucrats often force consensus instead of presenting competing views. That can lead to intelligence that fits a political narrative. Last fall, Pompeo told CBN News the Obama administration used that approach.
That's dangerous. It's dangerous because we won't apply the right resources to push back against the enemy. That is, they were saying that we were more successful against ISIS than the facts on the ground justified. And so you misallocate resources, but even more importantly than that, you put lives at risk.
Flight says Pompeo, along with Mike Flynn and Dan Coates, can form a leadership team to help reestablish trust.
These guys are simply the perfect team to reform U.S. intelligence in a way that it will produce the information Mr. Trump needs to protect our country and to help intelligence agencies win Mr. Trump's confidence.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Democrats up in arms complaining Betsy DeVos will harm one of their sacred cows. See why Trump's pick for education secretary is ruffling so many feathers. The story's next. Democrats have made Betsy DeVos a top target as they search for a Trump cabinet nominee to defeat. Her crime being a champion for education reform and school choice. Plus, she supported conservative Christian groups like Focus on the Family. Heather Sells traveled to DeVos's hometown, that is Grand Rapids, Michigan, to learn more about the nominee for education secretary.
Betsy DeVos has lived in Grand Rapids for most of her adult life. The DeVos family has made their mark here, thanks to a fortune from Amway. Go anywhere downtown and you'll see the DeVos footprint. Grand Rapids has also made its mark on DeVos. She attended Calvin College, a Christian school, and is heavily involved at Mars Hill Bible Church. John Boy is principal at a private Christian school and a member with DeVos in a church small group. He believes her desire to impact the culture for Christ led her to education.
I believe that God just arranged circumstances in her life that this became an overriding passion of hers.
It was here at the Potter's House School in Grand Rapids that DeVos first began thinking seriously about school choice and what it could mean for parents and their kids. The school opened in 1981 to serve students in a low-income neighborhood. Their only other choice at the time, a public school ranked third lowest in the state. DeVos began visiting the Potter's House and found herself drawn in by its first-rate education and parents' stories.
I think that until you actually meet people who actually, will tear up and cry when they tell you how desperate they were for their child to go to a safe school where they would be loved and cared for and where they would be nurtured and that they would be taught to their highest potential. When she began to hear those kinds of stories from the mouths of mothers and grandmothers, that's pretty compelling.
DeVos has gone on to become a national leader in education reform and school choice. Education expert Neil McCluskey says it's what she's known for.
What she wants is for people to have money attached to their children and be able to attend the school of their choice.
But DeVos's critics charge that she's anti-public education. Friend and colleague Father Robert Sirico calls the charge misinformed.
I don't know that Betsy is
ideologically lockstep against all public education. I think she's against failing education.
Opponents add that DeVos could impose her religious beliefs on the country's education. But McCluskey points out that is the opposite of school choice.
What she's really asking for is that religious people, non-religious people, all people simply have a choice of the education they get for their children, so that we don't all have to fight over a single system to decide, well, whose values will be imposed on everyone.
DeVos's challenge now: convince critics to accept her nomination and recast school choice as a win for all. Reporting in Grand Rapids, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Can Ben Carson win over Senate skeptics? We'll sit down with Donald Trump's pick to revitalize America's inner cities next. We're going to take a look now at one final cabinet choice by President-elect Donald Trump, Dr. Ben Carson. If approved, Carson would take over the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. That's a $48 billion agency. Our David Brody got a chance to sit down with Dr. Carson in West Palm Beach, Florida, a few years ago.
Dr. Ben Carson's resume is quite impressive. World-famous neurosurgeon, best-selling author, and former presidential candidate.
This hearing will come to order.
He now hopes to add Secretary of Housing and Urban Development to his list of accomplishments, and must convince some skeptical senators in order to do so.
Dr. Carson has repeatedly commented that government assistance programs are harmful.
Some have accused Carson, who grew up in Detroit's inner city, of lacking empathy when it comes to the poor.
You stated, quote, poverty is really more of a choice than anything else. You propose that every federal agency should trim their budgets with a 10% across-the-board cuts year over year. I think of that more as a meat axe, not a neurosurgeon's knife.
I think the rental assistance program is essential.
Carson says HUD programs helping the needy wouldn't be cut without an adequate replacement. He also reiterated additional ways to help the needy.
True compassion is not keeping people in a situation where we can feel good about what we're doing. True compassion is putting them in a situation where they can feel good about where they're going.
It's something he told CBN News when we visited him in 2014 at his Florida home.
We realized that education is the great divide in this country. It doesn't matter what else is going on in your life. If you get a good education, you have an excellent opportunity of being able to control the events in your life and not being a victim.
And he puts that ideology into action with the Carson Scholars Fund. Through that program, Dr. and Mrs. Carson have not only sent students to college, but provided more than 165 reading rooms to schools across the nation.
The dropout rate nationally is between 20 and 30% of those who enter high school. And these 80% of them are functionally illiterate and they can't fill out a job application. So they become a drain on society.
Carson supporters say this dedication with his medical experience makes him the perfect candidate to lead urban development.
People who say that his skills as a surgeon, as a world-renowned neurosurgeon who has solved the most complex problems that the medical world has ever known, don't transfer to being able to solve problems in HUD simply are wrong, and they can't understand the nuances of really being a solutionist, of being a problem solver. Dr. Carson has brought together teams of diverse individuals with different skill sets to solve problems that have never been solved.
Carson believes health and housing go hand in hand. That's why he wants to take on major health issues affecting inner cities, including lead in older homes. This vast knowledge of the medical world, combined with the needs of the housing world, could help him add one more accomplishment in his life's mission to help others. David Brody, CBN News.
Very fortunate to be alive.
As presidential inauguration plans continue to unfold, some recording artists have canceled plans to perform following pressure and protest from those who oppose the incoming president. But Grammy-nominated gospel singer Travis Greene is not one of them. He will open at an inaugural ball and joins us now. So, Pastor Greene, thank you for being here. Can you share how you received the invite and why you accepted it?
The reason why I accepted it is very simple. After much prayer and consideration, reaching out to some of my spiritual advisors throughout this beautiful country, I felt, it was an overwhelming message from them and from God for me to go to share the light and the love of Christ. So that's why I'm doing it.
I know you're getting some pushback on social media. We've seen some other artists back out as a result. How are you handling that?
My entire team and church, we've all been on a social media fast for the entire month of January. So I have, which it was all in God's timing. So I have been totally blind to any backlash. But I'm told by my management that there's way, way, way more support than the little bit of negativity.
What do you say to critics who view your performance as a political endorsement?
That he's our president in 2 days. I don't think he needs endorsement. It is what it is at this point. My focus wasn't anything political. Honestly, it was totally biblical.
So, what will you perform, and how did you choose what you're going to perform?
I'm performing a song that was Grammy nominated last year, #1 on Billboard for the genre that I sing in. It's called Intentional. And the song was chosen by them, not by me. They heard
What is your prayer for what happens during your performance and after it?
Yeah, the Bible says that some sow, some water, but God gives the increase. And I think my prayer is just to be involved in that equation in whatever way that God sees fit to include me in it. So whatever that looks like.
Beautiful. Congrats on your success. Thank you so much for being here. Look forward to sitting down with you in person to talk more about what God is doing in your life.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
Thank you. That is going to do it for CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive inauguration coverage at cbnnews.com as well as on Facebook and Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make this a thankful Thursday.